Welcome to Joe's Java Jive. Here we are on another episode, A Journey into the Soul. We hope you are doing well. We hope you are living in heaven and not hell. You create your own reality. Won't you create a good one with me? To another episode of Joe's Java Jive. I'm your host, Jolly Joe Jester, and we've got a very special episode today. So, today we're going to be talking to somebody who's got a lot of experience communicating with the spirit, having conversations not only with the great beyond, but within their innermost heart and soul. Hello and welcome, Oshara.
It is so
How
good
are
to
you?
see you and speak with you again.
Yes, well, we're here now on the same dimension and the same flesh. And yes, this is so nice to talk to you and have you on the show today, Oshara. And I'm really excited to tell the folks about what it is you're passionate about and what you've really dedicated your life and body to in Elmira, New York, my hometown. You're in the home of Seth and Jane Roberts and Robert Butts. Well, who are those folks for people who've got no clue?
Oh my gosh, literary masterpieces and metaphysical breakthroughs and world renown. Jane Roberts lived right here in Elmira, New York, also famous for having Joseph having lived here as well. And Mark Twain lived here too, so there's all these notables and people of such renown. But Jane Roberts lived right here in this town and in this building, and she happened to suddenly find herself becoming a channel for an amazing, brilliant being calling himself Seth. And in the course of her lifetime after that, 45 books were produced by this amazing working collaboration. Some books Jane wrote all by herself, sort of, and some books, many books by Seth. And the content of the material is just mind-boggling and breakthrough material that really it has influenced so many people as far as new ideas, breakthrough ideas in spirituality and healing and wellness and metaphysical musings.
Yeah.
So,
Things that, most people don't even know about, but it is a whole movement that there is a lot of people who have been influenced, whether you know it or not, by what happened in the 60s and 70s and 80s in Elmira, New York. Seth and Jane and Robert, the trio, it took a little bit of each of them to create this perfect ingredients to, channel this Seth entity, which truly has some remarkable things to say. And for those of you who've never listened to it, maybe you've never heard of this, you're in for quite a journey as you embark on the material. And I am reaching out to Oshara after actually getting to see the Seth house. And folks, it is an honorary, sacred chapel that is like really commemorating what went on in this space. And I want to thank Oshara for her dedication to, broadcasting this message, putting out the story. And it's because of Oshara's journey into this that I even heard about Seth here in 2024. So thank you for that, Oshara. Very important stuff.
more the merrier. We need to share this with people, because anyone who's really taking it to heart, it really is life changing. It really opens everything up about life and what our potential is, and healing and wellness and happiness. It's all right there in the Seth books.
It is. And it really, for folks who maybe never heard of it, boils down to one phrase that Seth says, and it was coined from, the first early sessions in the first book. And it is the mantra, I think, throughout, which is that you create your own reality. And this is
It really
something.
helps you take responsibility. There's no more blaming. There's no more, oh, it's in the past that this happened. It's like, and he's very big on being in the now. The moment of power is now. Be in the present. You create your reality. And we are unlimited as to what we can create in the here and now going forward. If we just take on that responsibility and that realization, I create my life, and I'm unlimited in what I choose to do here and now. But yeah, I'm excited about this. I think it might have interrupted your flow there with what you're going with.
No, you're so right. It's all about us and creating our own experience here. And I think that is, what it all boils down to. And it's also in that first book, Seth Speaks, which I just did finish. I flew through this book like I've never flown through a book before. Like, seriously, the material, everybody resonates with it because it just seems so true and real and very interesting. And even if you're skeptical or confused and don't quite understand the channeling aspect of it, the material speaks for itself, and it just flows. It's a masterpiece.
Whether or not you can deal with the idea of channeling, or that a book could be written by someone without a body, who is multidimensional and has the perspective of having lived many lives and is aware of and able to visit many dimensions. That's the kind of people I want to talk to, is people who really are, they know what's going on from a vaster vantage point. So those are the authors I want to read. And he started talking like in 1963, and they channeled for 20 years until Jane's passing in 1984. And this amazing being, visited this house 2, 3, 4 times a week, and spoke, and through Jane, and everything that Seth said through Jane, Rob dutifully wrote down in his shorthand and then typed it over, and that's why we have all this massive tome of information. It's because of that partnership. Jane channeled, her husband took dictation, and Seth gave us the goods.
Yes, he sure did. It was a perfect storm. And let's paint the picture for folks on who Jane and Robert were before this entity, and kind of how the perfect storm was calculated, because they were living unique lives there on Water Street in Elmira.
Yeah, they were already, I want to say, hippie-type bohemians in 1963. They were authors. Well, I should say Jane Roberts was a published author and a poet. She had her sights set on, poetry and science fiction. And she was getting her work published. And her husband, Robert, was an artist. And he was doing his own painting and stuff. He was also working as an illustrator. And he illustrated comic books and greeting cards. And he also just every day he was working on his own paintings. So, and Jane was a painter as well. She, but her writing was her main thing. And then, so she was 33, and something happened in this room where she was sitting right at that table, and she was writing poetry. And all of a sudden, she had this huge spiritual experience. She had an out-of-body experience, and this huge rush of information coming into her awareness about the nature of reality and everything. And it lasted a pretty long time, and then when she came back to her body and her normal waking self, normal, conscious self, she saw that she had handwritten a 40-page document called the Universe's Idea Construction, this describing some of the experiences she was having and some of the ways of the workings of the universe. And this experience just changed her life completely, as well as her husband's, because before that they didn't really want to look at spiritual or things. They both had very difficult upbringings with religion not being kind to them. And so they were just wanting to make their lives the way they wanted to. And then all of a sudden she has this breakthrough in consciousness and decides, along with her husband, to let's pursue what happened to you. Let's go on an investigation about what is this stuff we know hardly anything about. And within a few months, part of their investigations led to experimenting with a Ouija board. And that's where Seth introduced himself and said, "Hey, I got an idea."
Yeah.
And apparently all of this was prearranged before they incarnated in this life, that this was planned, that there would be this meeting where Seth would be doing exactly what took place over these many years, and that these books, this information, have such a great impact and influence on our human species in ways that bigger ways than we can imagine, actually. So.
And it will continue to. And I think that's a big reason why I'm so drawn to this material, other than it being, something from my hometown that was a shock to me because it wasn't, really put on the forefront growing up, as Jane Roberts is one of another notable Elmiran. But let alone that, this is famous and I think is as spread throughout the cosmos. This is one of the most moments in the history of mankind, and it happened right in the room you're sitting in.
And you can come here too, because we're really open. After 8 years of working, almost 8 years, on this project and making it into a 501c3 nonprofit, and then being able to receive enough donations to purchase the building, and now restoring the building. It was a mess. It needed a lot of love and paint and putty and everything. We're wanting to open this house up to the public in a bigger way so that other people can come here and enjoy a magnificent old building, and that this is the birthplace of the Seth books and really a new movement in consciousness. I mean, in this living room was born information. I was given information that birthed a movement in, I think, humanity's sense of self and spirituality and the greater picture about the vast cosmos we're all part of. And some of this stuff, it's mind-blowing, and it's touching lives all over the world. And it happened here in this living room. And this is why it needs to be preserved and open up to people who appreciate the information and want to just sit here and meditate or read or laugh or cry or meet other people who kind of get what this is all about.
Yeah, it's very fresh, folks. This material has not aged a day, and it feels like it's meant to be rediscovered today. And in this current millennium, I think it's truly some of the most powerful information that you can ever take in. And I think it just feels so unique and special and important, because truly, an entity like this wanting to come through and give us a little bit of a look behind the curtain, of what's really potentially going on beyond this physical trip that we're all on, going day to day and caught up in the hustle and bustle of life and this physical trip. We oftentimes tend to forget about the spiritual journey, and many people have different religions and different practices and rituals, but I think that thinking about it in a state of meditation and going deeper and connecting with yourself, that is really what I think Seth is urging the viewers to do. By taking this in, you're actually just getting deeper in touch with your own wisdom and your own inner spirit.
That's so totally it. You're saying it so beautifully. It's self-empowering through self-awareness. He's trying to tell us who we really are, to get over all the sad hang-ups that might have been heaped upon us from sad religious dogma, or just being on Earth, there can be a lot of limiting ideas that can pound us sometimes. So, and he's like saying, no, here's what's real. You're part of a greater reality. Your soul is so multidimensional. You're capable of such wondrous things and healing but everything you said. I applaud you for reading Seth and being able to articulate as well as you did. Here, let me run over here and show you some of the Seth books. And I am going to say I'm sorry for having piles of papers up because I'm always working.
This is a workspace.
It is. I'm the president of the nonprofit organization, founder, president, chief bottle washer. You know how it goes, swabbing the decks, and painting, and doing all the legal and the moral and the paper and the computer.
Yeah, show us around because this room you're in is truly spectacular, and all those papers and books. I was so fascinated getting to go and witness this, especially this table. That center image, that's Jane Roberts.
That is Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts was a cute girl, and
she sure was.
She really was. She was hot. I would ask her out. But when Seth came through, now you know more about me than you knew you were going to tune into. But when Seth came through, Seth was a male energy, and anybody who saw Seth channel said, "Whoa, Jane is gone," and there's this big, huge, booming voice male being present who wasn't Jane. Here's let me give you as you mentioned, one of their big, most important books ever is called Seth Speaks. I don't know if this is showing up backwards.
Yes, that's a good place to start for folks who are
if you if you only read one Seth book, make it this one. This is him saying an introduction to the universe, basically. And then also the other life-changing book is The Nature of Personal Reality. Mm-hmm. This will help you get into the inner workings of your mind and consciousness and make the changes we all need to make your inner world a neat and tidy place and a lot of fun to be in.
I'm just starting that one, so when I finish that, we'll have to have you back on the podcast to kind of discuss some of that book as well.
Here's a nice picture of Jane, some pictures of Jane. She was just a wonderful person by all accounts and everything I've ever heard. Here, I'll show you. There's that picture. There's Jane. Nice girl. And there she is channeling Seth. Hi there. I'm a big multidimensional being. Let's talk. So,
yes.
Like I said, all these amazing books. I'm going to try to, I'm holding my computer, so here's just a runaround of none of the furniture was theirs. We're just trying to make it comfortable. But as you first walk in, there's these beautiful bay windows that you'll see when you walk in. And right around there was where Jane had her first big spiritual experience, the out-of-body experience. And she apparently flew out that window into what at the time was this huge tree was right out there. And she got to be in the leaves and the life of that tree. And that was part of this massive journey she was on. So I'll go ahead and walk in that direction. The reason we have this,
just to spoke on that, it's like when you're in a dream, and you're hovering over the world and out of body. People have talked about it in near-death experiences, and I think a lot of us know what that feels like from our dreamland. And Seth would tell you that is very similar to what happens when you pass away or when you're done with this physical trip. And that's very much what it's like to live in the mind of Seth, is this out of body. You can be anywhere, anytime, and feel the consciousness of this tree, this microphone, this light, whatever it is. That's what you're talking about when she escaped her body and came back and saw, there's a 40-page document here.
and that was just the beginning. And that experience, near-death, people who've been through the near-death experience, out-of-body experiences, this is, it changes everything when that happens to you. I had a near-death experience when I was 18, and it changes everything. Also part of that knowing how loved we are, and a part of what Seth called all that is. So he doesn't use the term God. He his term is all that is. We are all part of all that is. I'll show you a couple little pictures here, and I'll explain the two bottles. Here's the explanation for the two bottles.
There she is.
And she had two bottles for some reason sitting on their windows, so we put them in the same place so you can see. It's to prove.
I love that. And that's something my mom, who passed away, would often do, though, especially the ones you have there, that cobalt blue, shiny, let the light shine through. And my mom had a whole wall of
I know, I grew up, there were bottles on our windowsill too. I don't know where that tradition went, but anyway, we hold it here at the Seth house. But you can see her, there she is with her typewriter sitting exactly where I'm sitting. And then there's the notebooks in the background of, like I said, Rob typed out manual typewriter to begin with, everything Seth said. Right there she is, there's the bottles, there's the house that's still there exactly as it shows, and her typewriter. We're sitting right where I'm sitting.
Beautiful. Yeah, folks, it's really incredible. And when you're there in person, you feel the energy that's still there very much.
And that's what we want so much, is for people who really get this information, like you. And like we sat silently here, and just I want people to just be able to feel what they feel. But it is here. And Seth talks about timeless universe, and for all those years that they were doing this, and he was visiting. Yeah, so we just had somebody visit for the last couple days. Wonderful person. Her name's Teal. But she, just sitting here and being able to meditate here and tune in and to have these kinds of conversations that we're having now about, oh my God, this is mind-blowing information. That's what this place is to be about. It's about the people living today in physical bodies who get or want to understand more about reality and who we are and Seth, and to open ourselves up for these conversations here at the Seth house that'll be an open center for all kinds of things. So
it's incredible, folks, and I want to, we're going to talk a lot more about Seth, and I want to talk about your story too, Oshara, and I just wanted to start with how the funny situation with how we met on May 24th. I was driving to Elmira to celebrate and be with my family on the anniversary of my mom's passing.
Oh, yes.
Yes, May 24th, and 2020 she passed away, and was a big spiritual reckoning for me, and I really was there for her in that journey. And I talked a lot about my mom and in the last episode of Joe's Java Jive. But on this episode, what happened on May 24th blew my mind. So I'm driving down the highway towards Elmira, and I'm listening to Seth Speaks. There's a great audio book available, and I'm listening. I'm hearing about reincarnation and how the process of choosing your next body or what happens after you die really depends on your interpretation, and almost like in a lucid dream. If you imagine hell your whole life, you're probably going to visit some version of that you've created, and Seth is talking about, if you imagine heaven and greeting loved ones, you'll be able to have these moments of reconciling at the end. And then they also talked about reincarnation and how the process of the soul can have a long journey into choosing what's next and what you're going to show up into next. And very interesting stuff, and it all checks out a lot with other forms of reincarnation in an existence. But all of a sudden, I'm driving down the highway on this anniversary of my mom's heart stopping, and all of a sudden my car engine light comes blinking on. Brand new, this is a nice car. All of a sudden, the car stops moving, and I have to go off the highway and go and get it picked up. Sure enough, it's an issue, a random recall with my specific car and the engine. So I am going to get a brand new car engine from this. The way it all worked out, my car is going to go back to zero and be a reincarnated car. So thanks, Seth, and my mom. And next thing you know, I'm in Elmira a week longer than expected.
That's the page turner of the story here, because the car went as it did, and he was on his way this important remembrance of his mother gathering, he had to stay longer in Elmira. Yay!
Yay! And I knew it was meant to be. From the Seth, I had no fear. I wasn't angry. I was like, okay, I guess I get to spend a week longer in my hometown, and I bet I get to see the Seth house now, for sure. And folks, I went twice within the week I was there, and I got to take my partner Serena to see it, and it was just magnificent. It was exactly what I needed to see to confirm all of these connections and to really get excited about my own spiritual journey, feeling like it's just getting started, and also about educating my friends and family and my audience on this material, because I think it's so, so important. And as soon as I met Oshara and connected with you, I said, I want to be on the Seth team here.
Oh.
I'm obsessed.
Obsessed. Obsessed. I love
I'm
it.
obsessed.
You coined that term. I related to it immediately. Yes.
It's it. That's it. Because something about this material, folks, when you take it in, you might be skeptical. You might not understand it. Just start listening. Just start listening, and then you'll start listening to your inner wisdom, to the world around us, and everybody in your life. Every physical thing in your life is there because you created it. You know, it's there because you're supposed to interact with it and make choices, but realize that every single choice you make, you know, there's a million other probable realities that, you know, of the choices you didn't make, and they're existing too. You know, it was, so I was meant to, of all the things that could have happened this spring, meeting Seth, meeting Oshara, and meeting the Seth house and Jane and Robert throughout, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be, and it's why I'm so excited to have you talking to the folks and starting the beginning of spreading this message out at the mountaintops.
I'm so excited about this and to connect with you too, and your energy is contagious, and so is mine. I mean, together we are a pandemic, you know, of ourselves here. But and this is the joy, being able to share this with people when something rings true and when something turns the light bulb inside. It's such a joy to be able to talk with other people about it too, and broaden the conversation for more people to join this talk fest, this Seth fest. This speaking of which, what do you got though? Speaking of which, we're going to be having an event next week. June 21, 22, 23. In the year is 2024. I realize there's going to be people watching this hundreds of years from now going like, wait, there's not an event next week because this happened in a timeless universe that has already passed, but da-da-da-da. But anyway, we're gearing up, as I said, to have more public gatherings, special events, and we want to start regular events too, and I'm hoping that maybe every Friday we might be able to just be open every Friday, and that's what it's, you know, have volunteers here, because I'm only one person, at least that you can see. I realize I'm multidimensional, I'm busy in all my other incarnations too, but you know, we need more people to help out and to volunteer, like for special events and helping around the house. And this woman who just visited a couple days ago, she brought a U-Haul of furniture down from Buffalo to donate to the house, and we were here 2 days just unloading the U-Haul and decorating. She brought light fixtures where we have naked bulbs that are scary. She brought chairs. We need so many chairs for people to sit on so we can talk. And it's a 3-story mansion that was divided into 8 apartments. Jane and Rob lived in this apartment, and then they also rented an additional apartment across the hall. But it's a huge building. Join the vision. We can do so much here because we have all this space and so much to clean up constantly and paint, and it's a work in progress, but I'm saying that now's a great time to be part of this because it's that exciting part where it's creative. Let's make this space beautiful and fun and whimsical and charming, and that anybody walking in, it'll just go wow, wow in every room because it feels good, it looks good, and that we can all sit and talk or meditate or read in every room, or cry or laugh or dance or make music everywhere. This is our clubhouse. The Seth house is our clubhouse, our playhouse, and our place for community and growing together and enriching each other's lives. I really mean this. I can you tell how I just go on about how amazing it's going to be?
And
I'm
you
going
feel
on.
it. You feel it when you're there that really this is one of the most beautiful things that I've ever heard of happening in my hometown, because it's just so exciting to there was not a lot of places like this when I grew up, in Elmira. I didn't feel really spiritually connected. If you weren't at a church or at the mall, it's like where am I going to gather with people, and have sort of a spiritual moment. And there's these kinds of environments, and I love Seth because it's not any religion. You're not starting a religion. You're not starting a cult. You're sharing the old info of this, but it's very present. It's meant to be listened to now by my generation. We got to carry on, and it's called the New Age movement. We alluded to it. I think that's what they say. Seth started the New Age movement in a way.
I've heard that rumor. I know whatever, and I like the term New Age. I think we have been entering in a new era of understanding and awareness and exploration and redefining ourselves from some of the limiting ideas of the past to move forward, all of us as a beautiful human family and into a new awakening, a new age.
And folks, you don't hear people saying this every day. I'm so sick of people saying, "Uh-oh, the end is near," or "This is it." Civil war's coming. You wait, buddy, because I hear this all the time. Of this is the end. This is like the terrible chaos, and everything sucks. And so many people are afraid. And you realize you're creating that reality by saying this to me, to yourself, by taking in news all day long that's feeding this fear monster. You don't have to be afraid of this world, because when you go to this when I spent a few hours at the Seth house, I was so taken aback by someone and an energy of, we actually are the light workers. We want to see beautiful things happen. We want to awaken people. We want to see 50 years from now being the best it's ever been. And I've always been that kind of a hopeful person, thinking this is very much salvageable. There will always be people. But how can we create a world that's so much better than the one we have now? And nobody's talking about it. I'm very excited. I know there's people out there making a difference. Those are the people you want to team up with, help those people, feed people, clothe people, but also educate and create these kinds of safe spaces for people to do spiritual journeying, creation, gathering. So all of that stuff makes me like, this is such a perfect place, especially for Elmira, New York in 2024. To take what happened 50 years ago and say, we're honoring it in this beautiful mansion, as you called it, and every single room in there has a different world. It feels so different in every single room. It's really worth checking out, folks. You have to make the trip up and connect with Oshara online. And the Seth House on Facebook, you can arrange and create your opportunity to really take this magnificent tour into another dimension.
God, I love everything you're saying. I'm just like eating it up. It's like, and I'm like listening, going, like, sign me up. I want to be part of that. That sounds great. It's like, God, it's this is what we need. We need this breath of fresh air from a higher being of love and light who is embracing what we're capable of. And he also said, he didn't make many predictions, but the ones he made were really good. And it was like you were saying, like we talked about, 50 years ago, he said in 100 years, which would be about 2075, the consciousness of humanity will be undergoing a complete revolution, sort of. And it is. I mean, in the last 50 years, we have really move forward in so many ways in our sense of self, each other, and
I feel it. The effects. The 60s is rebounding. Yeah, it's almost like my generation and the people of today reminding me of the 60s, which I always felt like I was in a past life there, somehow part of those bigger movements.
Oh, and
And
I feel a kinship with that era too. That was a breakthrough time of new ideas and awakening, and
all over in music,
colorful. Yes,
on Elmira, in Britain, and the
all over the
beatniks,
world. There was a renewal. It was the baby boomers, so to speak.
post-war.
Uh, yeah, but what Seth's saying is okay. So Seth was happening in the '60s and '70s, and in the early '70s, he made that prediction about the future. So Seth is reassuring us, no. The world is not going to end. Far from it. Far from it. The world's not ending. We're not going, to crumble or anything. He's saying we are on a process of renewal and uplift. And yeah, so while that's going on, of course, there's shit shows never stop, and then they'll continue, and people griping, and people fear mongering, or people trying to control this, that, or another thing, and the media is nonsense. But the truth is, our human consciousness is on this awakening path that is just full steam ahead. And so, again, part of the life-affirming nature of Seth saying, yeah, you're going in a lot of good directions. Enjoy the ride and get enthusiastic and meet with each other and really co-create a new world.
That's so it. And I realize, there's something about it living in this world and being a white male. I've realized my life's been pretty easy. I've had a lot of easy going, almost effortless life. And I'm realizing, with that and with this unique moment, how can I become awakened and help people and go beyond, just living a life of comfort, but being of service to the people, to my friends, my family, and growing that circle. And I think a big part of the Seth information is saying this trip we're on now is really like a secondary, physical version of a much deeper entity trip that is beyond our five senses. And it's almost like this is those people who've said this is a simulation or something, and that we can create our own realities. It's being aware that yes, if this is a simulation, and there's a way to make it better and a way to make this whole thing better for everyone, isn't that worth giving a good go at? Isn't it worth envisioning that? Because our imagination can be both fear or love. It can be either I'm imagining a hopeful, beautiful world, or I'm imagining an inferno of chaos and anarchy. And both of those are rooted in your imagination. And if you're thinking about both of them, you're giving power to both of them. But I think if more of us focused on this unity and collective consciousness boosting into higher beings, we're supposed to keep evolving. We're not supposed to stop at, apes on computers with making, a salary and there we go. I have a nice home and that's it. I think we're really supposed to keep growing and that evolution chart. And it's going to happen in here, in our minds, in our spiritual bodies, I think, truly transforming. And this material is almost a step-by-step guide. It's really mind-blowing. And to me, just being into it for a couple of months, I am so excited to continue diving and to reread and to have more conversations with you to open up my generation and the next generation and people who are already aware about it to say, let's go deeper. Let's really figure out what's going on now in this very moment.
Yes, who are we and what can we do? What are we doing here at this time? I just love what you're saying. You're spot on with every insight you're sharing. And it's like, another thing, no matter what, people, I have to live here. I have to live right about here. And I live in the world of my thoughts and my feelings and my imagination, and I create those. And once I start taking responsibility for that energy that I'm creating, I can make it a nice place to live. I don't have to have bad thoughts of the history or fearful thoughts of this or bringing in every opinion that is stupid and mean and dark just because they say, we're intelligent, so you have to believe us when we say things are dark and bad and gloomy. So if you want to be intelligent and you want to be informed, you have to, suck down dirt. It's like, no, just get everyone out of here. Just get everyone out of your space. And start again. Get a U-Haul coming over from Buffalo with nice new clean furniture. No, get just you live in your thought atmosphere. You live in your soul frequency. You can change absolutely everything about how you feel about you, your opinions of reality and the universe. You can be loving and bright and radiate an amazing energy, and it can all change in an instant when you decide, I want this to be a nice place to live, and I want this to be a place that radiates, that I am a place that radiates love and light and goodness and laughter. You can be that person. We're always choosing who we're going to be, who we want to be. Choose wisely,
Yes, that's why I try to identify as Jolly Joe Jester. I right there. That's who I am. I'm a proud person to bring joy, to bring a sense of ease, to bring a sense of everything's going to be okay. And even with that, there's an element of everything you just said is so spot on, and it really is about creating a sense of well-being and ease, and that's contagious. That's why all of those maternal figures in your life made you feel at home and take a rest. And that's what I'm always singing about in my music as Jolly Joe Jester, is those wisdom nuggets from my mom, and also wisdom from the people who, these spiritual leaders who talk about these messages that came through. And every one of these self-help things is all about how to change, first, your state, your state of being, your story, and that's like, oh, this is are you either at a rock bottom and it's only going to get better from here, or is everything just, you're a victim of the world? That's like an example of your story. And then the strategy of how can I change it? And that comes last, because if the other two are in order, you'll find the strategy just comes. Like you getting this house. Yeah. You didn't go into it thinking, that this was how it was going to go down, but you just followed your heart, and here you are. Yeah. How did that journey go? And tell us a little about
that's too crazy long a story, but I'm inspired by something else you said I wanted to launch off on, but
launch off of that.
That idea of how powerful our consciousness is. And if we ask ourselves different questions, we'll get different answers. Instead of asking, why am I so stupid? Say, ask yourself questions that you want the answers to. Like, how can I fix this? How can I change this? What's the best choices I can make right now? What should I let go of? Where should I, the funny thing is you ask yourself in the universe questions that are kind of positive and expecting a positive answer. You get these answers coming to you. You get guidance. I mean, Seth also said that there's always a helping hand for us. I mean, that might sound like spooky and woo-woo, but that there are all these beings of light who really sincerely do want to help us and give us positive information. We got to be open to it and let it in. And just to open up and start talking to the universe, all that is, your guides, your guardians, your angels, God, just in a positive way say, let's make my life better. What are some choices? What can I do? I'm in a situation I don't want to be in. What's my sensible step-by-step way out of this and into something new that feels right? And you can get the most mind-blowing answers for what your steps can be and what your opportunities are that you weren't looking at until you just stop for a moment, open up to the universe, start talking sincerely and saying, help me get to that life that they're talking about right now. Help me get to, what is my highest manifestation? And what are the steps I can take from here to there? Give me some insights. Make me feel loved. It's like, start getting reconnected with, your spiritual source, whatever you want to call it. I think all the pain in the world that people are having is they feel disconnected from God or the source or whatever you call it, and we need to get back in touch with our true spiritual natures, our oversoul, our higher selves. Start talking to it, start connecting it, start living with it all the time, and that will be how you manifest here on earth, not alone, but as part of a collective of loving soul energy. That's how we can live. I think that's what's going to change everything.
That's such great advice. And for folks who, that feels like, easier said than done,
just
Seth,
do it. It's amazing what happens when you start to do stuff like that. It's like, oh my God, I hear voices. Oh my God, I feel loved. Oh my God, I'm feeling answers rise up.
And it's not that crazy. This is like stuff that all these different religions and things, when in the form of prayer, which is an acknowledged, understanding verb, you know what it's like to pray. This is a form of that.
Yeah.
It's a form of that doesn't need to be tied to any one religious group, but through getting in touch with your spirit, your inner wisdom, and boosting your satellite signal of what you want, and what you think that humanity wants, the answers come back. You realize it, whether you call it Seth, whether you call it a lost loved one, or you call it God, Allah, Yahweh, you're tapping into something that goes beyond you. And I think that relationship to God, to the universe, to your own entity, you will find a lot of answers in it. And other thing I wanted to say is that Seth often talks about the common phrase of, let me sleep on it.
Yes. Oh, dreamland, sleepland. He says, go ahead, you go for it, dude.
Yeah, because that's it. I mean, those answers, there's a lot to talk about in Seth Speaks about dreams and dreamland. We alluded to it with Jane's out-of-body experience. But the power of going into sleep and right before you go to bed, wondering, asking a question that you want guidance on, or asking for something that you need. I've heard so many stories throughout my life of in the dreams, people will find out where that thing they've been looking for is. And I heard that recently. They dreamt of it, and sure enough, it was right there.
And you hear it all the time, that people, the answers come to them in sleep. It's true. It's real. It has been practiced and happened in this reality by all kinds of people, creative ideas, answers. And Seth really went at length in his books about how we can really harness our sleep time and be aware of everything. What we're doing in the sleep state is more than snoring, and and he goes into it and light up your nightlife with Seth.
Yes, folks, you could lucid dream, and I'm excited to get into more of this stuff because I know so many people. It's weird when you start reading Seth Speaks, your dreams become more vivid.
Yeah,
it's just the awareness and letting go of the trip of I don't remember any of my dreams. Like, that's a limiting belief. Mm-hmm. That's you telling yourself that and creating that reality, where you start listening to Seth and realizing, wait, maybe I'm doing more than just snoring here. Then your eyes open up while you're sleeping.
While your eyes are closed, while your eyes are closed, your eyes are open. But that we can, he gives lots of tips and pointers for really getting the most out of your nightlife. And bring back information that is life-changing, really, when you realize how multidimensional you are and how alive and awake you are when you're sleeping. Yeah.
And that's it. It's all part of like if we are spiritual beings, we're a plant. Sleep is the water. I think it's like right. feeding the plant, nurturing. And I have a song that I created, Jolly Joe Jester, called "You Must Have Needed It." And maybe I'll slip it in at the end of the podcast here because it's a little taste of what my mom used to say when we would wake up from a nap, and she would, most people in America, and I think it's part of your capitalistic, always needing to be going, doing. God, I didn't want to sleep that long, or why did you let me sleep?
You must have needed it, yes.
You must have needed it. And that's the core belief.
Heard it too.
Yeah, you must have needed it. And with Seth, I think he talks a lot about how our spirit, is when we sleep, it goes on a journey. It might be in another dimension. Your spirit might be helping somebody else. You might even be a guide to someone else that you don't even know while you're asleep.
True. That's what he says, too, that really is mind-blowing as well. In your sleep state, you can be doing some amazing good things. And he has said that sometimes your sleeping life, you're doing so much more than you're doing in your day life that you're conscious of. And we're interacting with other beings in our sleep state. And as you said, functioning as a guide or a helper for others.
It's amazing.
It takes on whole new dimensions of possibility. Yeah.
You never know what you're doing there. And I think as we all start, identifying dreams and learning from them, there's so much there. And I think it just makes sense to me that Seth, explained the afterlife as very similar to your sleep state.
And he was talking about what's now called the near-death experience and the afterlife in 63, 64. Long before those terms were coined, near-death experience, or that, it's so funny that people can be so religious and they say there's an afterlife, but if you bring up actual experiences people have had with near-death experience, they go, oh no, but we don't want to talk about that. That sounds like devil stuff. No, it's proving the religious point that all these religions have said there's an afterlife, but then as soon as you try to report to them, here's someone's experience with the afterlife. No, shut it down. You can't talk about that. It's the devil. Stop. We get it now. Some of those ancient rumors about when you die, you go elsewhere, it's proven. It's the fact. There's no denying there is an afterlife. I'm telling you this. Stop thinking that this is a debate or a discussion or a theory. Millions of people are telling you about their near-death experiences. Their body died or they came close to oblivion of the physical. And then something happens. And then their life changes completely and they come back. And thank God so many people are telling us what happened to them after those moments occurred. And you can go, if you haven't done it yet, go on YouTube, do yourself a favor, just put in near-death experience and you could be watching testimonials from people for the rest of your physical life. There are so many testimonials from people saying, this is what happened to me. This is proven to me there's an afterlife. I mean, folks, there's a lot of people that they think they're so smart and scientific because they can say, oh, you just had a brain fart. No. You have to be an idiot to try to say to literally millions of people who've had these experiences, oh, you just made it up. It's like, no, those doubters, those idiots, let's just call them idiots, because when you're presented with facts and you still got, you're an idiot. Yeah. I mean, when you get that much factual information, this many eyewitness accounts, and you go, but I'm too intellectual to believe that because I just want to be smarter than that. And I don't want to open my mind to that. A lot of those people are just such fucking cowards. And, that's really what it is. They're afraid of an afterlife. They're cowards to try to let their minds grow to receive what's true. They're too happy in their little boxes. Anything outside the little box is scary. So it used to be that those very people said, oh, you made up an afterlife because you're so scared of the death and the oblivion that happens and your life will end. You're just scared. That's why you have to make up an afterlife. It's the absolute reverse. The cowards are the ones who deny afterlife. The cowards are the ones who won't open their minds to actually how magnificent and beautiful reality is, and we are a part of it. So don't listen to the idiots. Eventually they'll come along kicking and screaming, like, okay, I was wrong. There is life
maybe in a next lifetime they'll figure it out.
So they'll be the last idiots, and they'll be the most surprised people when when they die and go, oh, I'm dead and I'm alive. Oh, everyone's going to tell me I told you so. Yeah, we will, asshole.
Yeah.
No, I am passionate about this. The facts are in. There's afterlife. The facts are in. We're in a multidimensional reality. The facts are in. Millions of people witness this, experience this, and live this way. Quit holding yourself back. You have infinite power and imagination and possibility and potential. Live it now while you're physical. Don't waste another moment. Be joyful. Feel the love that is constantly coming to you from on high, from all that is. Why wait another second? This stuff's good, guys. This is good
It's
stuff.
really good stuff. And Seth warns
Sorry for
about
swearing,
this.
but I go off the rails. I'm sorry.
We love your passion, Oshara. We love it. We need to hear it. And I think you're speaking to somebody who's listening and needs to hear this, because so many people live their life in fear of what's going to happen. And I think Seth warns specifically, and Seth speaks about the dangers of imagining nothing and how that's only going to delay this process of when it comes. If you're imagining blackness and nothing, you might actually be, delaying the inevitable in that time. So be very careful what you imagine, because I think at the end of the day, you're not going to be done. You're going to have spirit guides at your last day helping guide you and helping awaken you. But it's just, I love what you said. The facts are in, folks. There is a story that happens after your physical story ends.
Oh, yeah, it just
and it's
begins.
been happening for years,
It keeps
for centuries.
We keep beginning and re-beginning. And just to follow through on what you're saying, too, don't worry about your friends and loved ones who are doubting Thomas's and when they die and everything, because he says no one is left to suffer after they die or be confused. At first there might be some disorientation. So what? You just died, you're a little disoriented, we get it. But that always there are those who will come to assist and help you and give you the scoop on what's really going on. Congratulations, you won a prize. But they'll help you through. And it doesn't matter what we believed when we were alive. It doesn't matter what we believe. And it doesn't matter if you missed Sunday school for a few years. You're not going to hell for anything. That's the most disappointing thing is the people you don't like aren't going to hell.
They're not going.
They're not? Damn, I have a list of people who should go to hell, and I told them myself, they're not? They get the same afterlife? Yeah, sorry. It's a bummer, isn't it? No, it's not. We all get to live and learn and evolve and change and grow. All of us, even the people you don't like. Sorry, it's true. And that everyone is helped in their afterlife to what is their best and highest good and the path to follow. And I don't know, I guess they make appointments and you go to offices and they, help you with stuff, fill out paperwork, lots of paperwork.
Yeah. That sounds like more purgatory to me.
Yeah, that's the wrong. If you have to fill out paperwork, you're in purgatory. But don't worry, we'll move you through the process. I'm making this up. I'm so sorry to all those people who go to the afterlife and they're sitting in an office filling out paperwork. I wish Oshara hadn't put that in my mind. I wouldn't be blamed.
Yeah, that might be a little passing dream on the way to the pearly gates.
Past that, because it's your infinite potential. Everyone has infinite potential. You too, and enjoy it and get that journey going on, man. My God, we have talked about an hour and I'm loving it. Let's just get started.
We're wrapping it up, and folks, if you want to hear more about this end of the journey talk, I do encourage you to listen to our last episode about my mom. There's actually a recording.
I saw that. I heard it. It was very, very heartful to feel your love for your mother. My mother passed. My mother was born May 23rd, and she lived to be 86, and she passed many years ago. But there's something about all of that. But anyway, I thought you really it was very heartful what you shared. So
thank you, and it's very much about this journey, and as seeing my mom pass, I know there was those guides in the room, and that she was on a journey in the end, and I think this Akashic record reading really put her in the right frame of mind to say goodbye to that physical body and hello to the spiritual journey. And it's powerful.
And she had you to help her with her send-off, with what you informed her about and what she already knew, too, about stepping into the next dimension. And another thing for us to keep in mind is now we have friends in high places, that we do have the loved ones in other dimensions. And love, that's the thing about love. Love is what connects us with all these other beings and other dimensions, and this is really the core of how the universe works. Is it really? And Seth says this too. It's the world loves itself in all its parts. The soul entity loves itself in all its parts. I mean, it's so love based. And even if you're out there right now, you don't feel loved, you don't feel loving. Too bad. It still exists, and you will return to that feeling of love. Your heart will open again. It's a temporary thing when we feel that there's not love in our lives or love in our world. I mean, start to flip that switch again. Start to believe in love. I have mugs that say believe in love because I need a reminder too sometimes. Where's my love mugs, you know?
Yeah,
but truly,
it reminds me.
Get yourself back to a loving state of being, self-love, because that really does, that's, again, it's a much better place to live in, is self-love. Put it there. Keep it on. Live it that way. And you are loved by the universe more than you can imagine. Go ahead, Joe.
Each and every one of you. And it reminded me of a quote that what you just said. And there's a film, Interstellar, by Christopher Nolan. And it's a very powerful film, very Sethian in a way as I look back at it now. And I looked up the quote. It says, "Love is the one thing we're capable of perceiving that transcends dimensions of time and space. Maybe we should trust that, even if we can't understand it."
Wow, that's it. That's so Seth. And that's so Seth. I mean, that guy must have read Seth.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I realize we're going to be wrapping up soon, and we've just scratched the surface of what can be said about Seth. Like, Seth talked for 20 years, and he is still talking. He's still trying to listen. And let Seth visit you sometime. He doesn't take up any space, and he won't ask for food.
Yep. He's a great guest.
I'll tell you a couple of real quick things so you know. Here is a picture of this building.
Bring it in a little closer, and it'll escape all the light.
There it is. It's
beautiful.
It needs love. It's hasn't, and we're giving it to it. So please restore me. It is a beautiful mansion. I want this painted 15 colors. The bright that you can see it from space, that you can find the Seth house because it's the most colorful house ever. We have to fix the roof. We have to fix the building. The exterior is some rotting wood and all that. But that's the place where Jane Roberts channeled Seth. This is the place I'm sitting right now. You can't see me, but I think I'm sitting in one of these three windows. I can't tell because I'm backwards here. But this is where it is. It's in Elmira, New York. It's the most magical, sacred place on earth, in my opinion. And I think it'd be wonderful if you can come to visit and to find out more. We have a website. Genius title for the website. The Seth House. I made that up. TheSethHouse.org. TheSethHouse.org. We also have a Facebook page, and that's the Seth House discussion group. But I think go to the website, and you can find, it's like we have our news and events page, we have a contact us, and also we have a donation page because all of this was made possible from the donations of about 400 people. In 8 years, about 400 people have donated, and that's why we were able to have the nonprofit 501c3 buy the building so that it will be preserved forever and ever. When I die, and I promise you I will, that there will be other people who can carry the torch. No torch, it's flammable. But the stewardship of this building and guiding the activities that happen here long after our generation is gone, that this building will be here to honor Seth. I'm getting a phone call. We'll get it.
Well,
just stop later. I'm so busy.
Seth calling.
I really
Folks, please support the Seth House because more people like me will hear about it, will be taking in the information, and you're actually changing the world in a small way by supporting this house.
Yeah, and come on over. And this matters. Stuff like this matters. And you matter. And we all matter. And we need to really act like that and live this way. And that's what changes everything. Is when we realize, all this and so much more. I love you. I really do.
I love you too, Oshara. This is so beautiful. I'm going to close it out with one quote from Seth from a recent meme. If you get into the Seth Facebook groups and everything, you're going to see these all the time, and I'm loving them. So I'm going to close it with this from The Nature of Personal Reality. The soul does not exist apart from nature. It is not thrust into nature. Nature is the soul in flesh. In whatever it materializations, the flesh is as spiritual as the soul, and the soul is as nature as the flesh. In your terms, the body is the living soul. Now the soul can live and does in many forms, some physical and some not. But while you are material, the body is the living soul. The body constantly heals itself, which means that the soul in flesh heals itself. The body is often closer to the soul than the mind is because it automatically grows as a flower does, trusting its nature. There you go, folks. An example of just some of the wisdom that's out there waiting for you.
That's sacred stuff, really coming back to the sacredness of our souls and who we are. And thank you for that. This beautiful, perfect quote. That really is.
Well, thank you so much, Oshara. Folks, please check it out. We will have links to all of those sites that we mentioned right here in the description of the episode. And we want to thank you, and we will be having you back in the future to discuss this. To you, to everyone listening in the universe, the cosmos, from beyond, the future, the past, please, peace and love. Let's create a better reality, right?
You said it. That's the way, man.
Right. You come home the same way, looking deep. You wanna sleep. Who are you? What you wanna do when you come through your avenue? You wanna sleep. You need rest. You shouldn't feel guilty if you confess. Oh, you needed it. Oh, you needed it. You must have needed it. You need rest. Your sanctuary's open. No more coffee to chug. The machine is closed, and you need a hug. Get cozy, dozy, and snug as a bug. Open up your heart and let in the love. You wanna sleep. You need rest. You shouldn't feel guilty if you confess. Oh, you needed it. Oh, you needed it. You must have needed it. You need rest, and that's okay. Take the rest of the day. Everything can wait. Hit the hay. You wanna sleep. Take the rest of the day. You shouldn't feel guilty if you confess. You needed it. Oh, you needed it. You must have needed it. You need rest. You needed it. Oh, you needed it. survive. And if they do, you can hit them with a shoe. I love you. 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 Oh, you needed it. You must have needed it. It's okay. I'll tuck you in and set an alarm. Sleep well. Good night.
I love you with all my heart. Don't worry. Be happy. Bye, Jojo. Mwah.
And it's not that crazy.